Concept 2, using slope-intercept form to find slopes and y-intercepts. All right, so the reason slope-intercept form is so powerful and so useful is it has a lot of information right in the equation, okay? Slope-intercept form is y equals some number, we refer to it as m, that's our slope, times x, plus b, which is our y-intercept. Okay, so we have two variables, x and y, and then we have two numbers. One is our slope, whatever we're multiplying by x is our slope, and the other one is our y, whatever we're adding or subtracting is going to be our y-intercept. Okay, so if I have an equation in slope-intercept form, it's very easy for me to say, all right, my slope is 3, because that's what is being multiplied by x, and my y-intercept is 5. Okay, and I can use that information to graph my line. I can use it to tell where my line starts. All right, on my y-axis, I can use it to see how steep my line is going to be. So again, I can get a lot of information out of it. Okay, so if I look at another one, my y-intercept, I'm adding this plus 1, so my y-intercept is 1. My slope is going to be 2 over 3, 2/3. Okay, and that's it. That's all I got to do. Now for this one, my slope right here, instead of it being written as 2 over 3 times x, it's x over 4. Okay. Keep in mind, whenever you don't have a number next to x, it's just a 1. So this is basically the same as 1/4 x. My slope would be 1 over 4. Okay, your slope will never have x in as a part of it. Okay, it's whatever is being multiplied by x, not x itself. Okay, and then my y-intercept, because this is -7, my y-intercept is going to be -7. All right, and that means that if I'm looking at my coordinate plane, it's going to cross the x-axis down here, or the y-axis down here at a negative value. Okay. All right, so now we're getting into equations that are not starting in slope-intercept form, right? This equation starts in slope-intercept form. I have y equals something times x, minus or plus something. Okay, now it's a little bit different. Okay, my y is not alone. Okay, it's got this 5 next to it, so I have to get my equation into slope-intercept form. All right, you should have already had a lot of practice doing that with your systems of equations, because what we basically were doing to get a value to substitute is to get our equation into slope-intercept form. So in this case, I'm just going to be dividing by 5, dividing by 5. That'll cancel. And I'll be left with y equals 3/5 x. And since there's nothing here, my slope is still this 3/5, 3045, and my y-intercept, because there's nothing there, is 0. Okay, meaning it would cross right here in the middle at 0, 0. Okay. All right. Let's look at another one. Okay. So for this one, I have the same type of setup where I've just got a number multiplying by y. Okay. So all I've got to do to get rid of that is divide it. But keep in mind, I do have to divide it by every term in my equation. So I have to divide it by my 6x and by my 14. All right, so cancel. I'll get y is equal to 6 over 2 times x, or 3x, plus 14 over 2, or half of 14, which is 7. And my slope is 3. My y-intercept is 7. Okay, so this is just one step, dividing out that number next to y in order to get y by itself. All right. If y is not by itself, then it's not slope-intercept form. Okay. And here's our last one. This one's a little bit trickier because I don't just have y by itself. I've got this x here. So what I want to do is move everything that's near y, that's on the same side as y, away. If this is a positive 3x, I need to subtract 3x. Ooh. Need to subtract 3x from both sides. Okay, those will cancel. Remember, this term goes with the sign to its left. So I have a negative 2y equals, and just like all these other ones, I'm going to write it with my x value first. So in this case, I get a negative 3x plus 8. Okay, and the reason I do that is because it's easier to keep track of whether my slope is positive or negative, or my y-intercept is positive or negative. All right. And now the last thing I have to do is get my y alone. So divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. Okay. Those will cancel. Y is equal to a negative 3x over a negative 2. The negatives cancel each other out, so I'm left with 3 over 2x plus 8 over negative 2, or a negative, or we can write it as minus 4. Okay, so my slope is going to be that 3/2, and my y-intercept is negative 4. Done.